What's up, Falcon fans? On today's video, I want to talk about 3 key personal matchups that I want to see the Atlanta Falcons face against the Miami Dolphins in Week 1 for the preseason in August 11th, at Hard Rock Stadium. So if you guys like this type of content, hit that like button. It helps out with the channel. If you guys hate this type of content, hit that dislike button. It won't hurt your boy's feelings. Well, maybe just a little bit. But also, if you want to do a huge favor for your boy, by hitting that subscribe button, it'll help out with the empire grow tremendously. So on that note, let's just dive into the video with match number 3. Jessie Bates III going against the Miami Dolphins wide receiving core. So you might be asking yourself, why did Falcon Empire decide to put Jessie Bates for number 3? Because the safety position is definitely the most unique and most challenging, most difficult position to learn, and especially to be on for the defense side of the ball, because they are basically the last line of the defense, especially if the corners or linebackers or pass rushers or defensive linemen can't do their job to properly maintain their guy in coverage. So the safeties have to be the backup to making sure they get the job done, just in case if those guys don't mess up their line of focus as well. And you have to think about this as well, because the safety has to play either strong or free. And you also have to think about, a lot of times for defensive coordinators, they like to use them as hybrids, as linebackers and corners as well. So there's a plethora of different type of coverages that the safeties will have to be in to understand, to comprehend, and making sure that they're always in focus and making sure they don't let their sights go bonkers in the sense, because they got to make sure they get targeted with their guy, because they don't want to get blown over the top. So they're basically like safety nets in a sense. So hopefully that didn't confuse anybody. I know a lot of people might be asking themselves, does it really matter if Jessie Bates III get a lot of preseason snaps? I say yay to nay, sir, because it's very important to him to get every single snap he can get for the Atlanta Falcons, because we have to remember, even though he played for the Cincinnati Bengals for 5 good solid years, he's going to play in a different type of style of defensive side of the ball, because remember, we have to think of 5 different type of key factors. He's not going to be playing with his brothers at Cincinnati anymore. He's not going to face his division rivals anymore against the Browns, Ravens, and Steelers. He's not going to have that same variety anymore, because now he's going to the NFC South. Then you have to think about weather control, because he played at open stadium, unlike the Falcons where we can switch it off and on. And then you have to think about the coaching staff. Is different mentalities over there compared to here. And those little details might not seem so dramatic for us as fans, but for players, it definitely is a huge deal, because now he has to prove himself that he was worth being one of the top free agency in 2023, with the Falcons signing him to a 4-year contract worth $64 million to boot. So now let's talk about notable key matchups I think we're going to see on preseason night. Robbie Anderson, former Panthers, former Jets, former Cardinals, and now Dolphins wide receiver. We know he has speed. He's tall, he's lengthy, so we don't want to underestimate that. Tyreek Hill, maybe get 1 or 2 snaps, but I'm very curious to see how he's going to contribute on that, because last season when he was with the Bengals, they beat Miami Dolphins. And if you want to hear me go more in detail on that, I did Atlanta Falcons Case File series on Jessie Bates, and one of those games were against the Miami Dolphins. So if you want to check that up, I'll leave a link in the description below so you guys can watch it if you guys haven't seen that. Self-promotion here. I ain't no shame. And then, we got some, Jalen Waddle, who's just been a really good young wide receiver. So I'm definitely excited to see him, maybe get some snaps. And then, you got the former Dallas Cowboys, Wilson Jr., who's been pretty good with Dallas. So I'm very interested to see, how he can, be with Tua Tagovailoa. And I hope that Jessie Bates get enough decent amount of snap times. Now, obviously, I don't think he's going to play more than maybe 1 setting or 2 setting, but I'll still like to see how he gel with his brand new teammates, and that's what I really want to see. Can he just cover these wide receivers if necessary, if one of the other players blow their coverage? That's all I would like to see. So now let's talk about number 2. Bijan Robinson going against the Miami Dolphins D-line core. So the Miami Dolphins play a 3-4 defensive scheme, and they have some pretty incredible front four guys that I really like, and Christian Watkins, who's just been a stud for them since last year. Then you got Zach Sealer, who's definitely, a lot of people might not know the name, but he's a really all-around talent defensive end type of dude. And then you got Raekwon Davis, who's the nose tackle for the Miami Dolphins. And then you also have Emmanuel Ogbah, who's been in the league since 2016 in the second round, who's been a stud for the Browns, Chiefs, and now for the Dolphins. And he has over 30 plus sacks, almost 40 sacks in his name, so he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. And so what I'm very curious to see, how Bijan Robinson is going to move through the tackles, how he's going to escape outside, if he's going to get enclosure by these, big, strong, beefy dudes. So I'm very curious to see, how much speed burst he's going to use, the acceleration, the hesitation, everything to boot. I'm just really excited to see how Bijan Robinson is going against this, front four right off the gate. And so I'm very excited about that. So now let's talk about number one. Our future quarterback in Desmond Ridder going against Jalen Ramsey. Maybe you have a comeback season with the Miami Dolphins, because last year it was not his prime time. He did not get all-pro stats like he usually does. Now, do I think he's washed up? Absolutely not. You can always have a down year and have a bounce-back season, because obviously he was frustrated with the Los Angeles Rams, so maybe that's also part of the reason why he kind of stinked it up, the joint. But besides that, I'm very excited to see how will Desmond Ridder use the Battle of Wits to get the advantage over Jalen Ramsey, because last season when Jalen Ramsey was with the Los Angeles Rams, he was going against Drake London, and Marcus Mariota was at the helm, and it did not work well for the Falcons because Jalen Ramsey was targeted 6 times, allowed Drake London to catch 2 receptions for 19 yards, but also he broke up 2 pass deflections. Now we can just argue, was that Marcus Mariota's fault for throwing incomplete passes or way over the top passes? You have to watch the film to find that out. But you know what? He still covered Marcus Mariota's throws pretty well enough for Drake London did not have a career year, if you want to say. But now Desmond Ridder is going to do the same thing, and I think he's definitely going to have a little bit more balance. He's going to have a little bit more quickness, going to have a little bit more accuracy with his throws. So that's what I'm very excited to see on, on 7 o'clock. This is going to be, I'm just too excited. I'm stumbling because I'm just so excited for Desmond Ridder to finally get a chance to prove himself that he can play serious good competition and win those good competitions. So I am hands down rooting for Desmond Ridder, our future quarterback, and like the power of T.O.
It's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback. I'm going to represent my quarterback to the fullest. So that's what I'm very most excited about seeing in this game, is how long will Desmond Ridder be at the helm. I'm suggesting maybe the full beginning of the game, first quarter, second quarter, then maybe they'll take him out in the third or fourth, or maybe, hell, just put him in the entire game. I want to see him play against all 4 phases. So I don't know if you guys, I'm stunned. I'm stunned like a stunned fish, because I really want Desmond Ridder to work out for the Atlanta Falcons. And if you give him more time for reps, going against the opponent's first string, second string, third string, or fourth string, I don't care. Give him so much time to develop. Give him so much time to face the opponents. So when it comes down to week 1, like I said last video, so he gets more comfortable going against the Carolina Panthers, I'm all for it, everybody. So on that note, if you guys lasted this long to the very end of the video, thank you guys so much for taking your own personal time and day watching these Falcon videos. I love making Falcon content for you guys, and if you guys are still interested in watching more videos, there are 2 more on the screen. So on that note, what do Falcons do? Rise up. Until the next episode, show love and peace to the world, and peace.